Hi everybody, it's your $2 Tuesday movie critic here today, and I am going to be reviewing the movie Terminator Genisys. Now, for those of you that do not know, this is the 5th installation of the Terminator series, and I have to say, I really enjoyed it. Now, for me, because I have been watching the Terminator ever since the original back in '84. And for me, I feel like if you haven't seen the first one, at least the first and the second one, you would get lost in the Terminator. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, so Terminator Genisys stars the main players that have pretty much been in all of the Terminators, except for with the exception of John Connor, who's in 2 through 5, you know, Sarah Connor is either in or mentioned in all of the Terminators, and of course the Terminators in all of them. And Kyle Reese again is in all of them. Okay, so we got, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays Pops, or you know, the regular Terminator, who is the guardian of Sarah Connor. And Sarah Connor is played by Emilia Clarke. John Connor is played by Jason Clarke, and Kyle Reese is played by Jay Courtney. Now, the reason I say that it would be best if you had seen Terminator 1 and 2 before you watch Terminator 5 Genisys is because pretty much that's what Terminator 5 is. Kind of like a mashup. And then if you took Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day and put them into a bowl and then put them in a circle and then threw it all into a time machine, I would call Terminator 5 Genisys. Actually, it's almost like Terminator 3 and 4, which was Terminator 3 was the rise of the machines, and Terminator 4 was salvation. It's almost like they didn't exist because there's no mention of a wife of John Connor, and all the stuff that happened in Terminator 4. Yeah, that was like, I honestly watched all 5 of them. I only watched Terminator 4 one time, and I really did not like it. It was not my cup of tea. It was just way too weird, and I know what they were trying to do, trying to give kind of like the backstory of what was happening in the future before Kyle Reese was sent to the past. Something like that. But it was just too much for me, and I didn't really care for it. And plus, there was not really any of the players like the Terminator, Sarah Connor, or anything. Sarah Connor was there again mentioned in Terminator 4, and also did some voiceover work. Actually, Linda Hamilton did do the voiceover work for Terminator 4, but I didn't really care for it. I did like Terminator 3, however, and it was like pretty cool. But again, the stuff that was in Terminator 3 for the most part was not a part of Terminator 5. They just looked at Terminator 1, the first one, the original, and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So this movie was really great. It was, yeah, pretty excellent. If you are a fan of the Terminator movies, you will be a fan of this movie because it's pretty much a mashup. That's what they did, and then they added some more to it. Yeah, it's for good measure. And they kind of confused the heck out of everybody. So, I mean, even if you haven't seen Terminator 1 and 2, maybe you would be less confused than, after a while, it took me a minute to get there along with the movie because they kept explaining stuff, and I was like, what the heck is going on? And because I remember Terminator 2 and Terminator 1, and I remember what happened in those, and so, you know, see the stuff kind of happening, sort of happening in Terminator 5. It was cool, but then it was confusing as well. And I won't go too far into it because I don't want to, you know, ruin the movie for anybody that hasn't seen it, which I imagine pretty much everybody's seen it. It's been out for a while. But great movie. I can't say, I mean, as far as parents, you know, taking their families to see it, the kids and stuff, if you took your kids to see the others, then take your kids to see this one because it's pretty much the same thing. Well, it's not the same thing. It's a reboot. Definitely a reboot. There's some stuff added. But, you know, as far as what you saw in 1 and 2, as far as the liquid robot, the Terminator, the bare backsides. There was no full frontality on anybody. There was some backsides being shown, mainly the males. I don't think Sarah Connor's backside was shown at all. And there was some cursing. It wasn't a lot. I have to say they stayed, pretty much true to the original as far as that's concerned. So I mean, I'm gonna let the little ones go see it because there are some pretty scary moments in there. But I will say this: if you let your kids see the original Terminator, then of course those kids are adults by now. Then I'm sure those kids wouldn't mind letting their kids go see it because it's pretty much in the same realm. I'll say that it's in the same realm with the cursing, with the nudity, and and that stuff with the violence. It's like the first, for me, it was like the first science fiction movie I ever liked because it did have that. It had science fiction. It had with the time travel. It had the robotic thing going on. It had the action, which I loved, and blowing up stuff, which some people love with their action, and the fisticuffs that I like with my action. I want to see some people getting their hands dirty. So it was great, and I really enjoyed it. I honestly did not think I was going to like it because I'm one of those people that I am getting so tired of all these remakes. Give us some new stuff. But I have to say, I really liked it. I really did. It was confusing at first, but I got it. So that's why I think that people that had watched 1 and 2 would have a better chance of catching up with it. But I will watch it again because I'm sure there's some stuff I missed. Terminator 3 is actually a really cool movie. I did, like the fact that they went ahead and they brought Sarah Connor back physically, even though it was not Linda Hamilton. I mean, I don't know how they would have explained that because the Linda Hamilton the Sarah Connor that they have in this one, she's at the age that she was supposed to be at when she conceived John Connor with Kyle Reese, who is still pretty much clueless throughout the movie, the part he plays. And of course, these are all brand new people with the exception of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they do a great job. I admit it. I was not too excited about it, but I was happy. I was glad to see Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the Terminator role, and it was a really good movie. So if you liked the original, and if you like Judgment Day, then you're gonna like this movie. It's pretty much those with a bit of a reboot. And they do a really good job. I really enjoyed it. And the action was on point. And, there were the puns, of course. And it was just cool. And, of course, they do talk about the fact that the Terminator is looking like an old man in this movie. He actually says that quite a few times. Old but not obsolete. Which, okay. And he does his thing in this movie. And I enjoyed it. So that is my recommend. I recommend that those people go see it. Even if you're an Arnold fan, but I can't imagine someone being an Arnold fan that's never seen any of the Terminator movies. I mean, seriously. Yes, he's done other work since the Terminator movies, but this is the thing that brought him his stardom. So there were some cliche things in the movie because it was, like I said, it was totally like the first and the second one. But the Terminator movies in themselves, when the original came out, it was an original type movie. They had never seen anything like that. Time travel, yes. Science fiction, yes. Robotics, yes. But meshing it all together the way they did it for this movie, no. That had not been done before to my knowledge, and it was so cool. So, yeah. Now, the old school movies that I am, comparing to this is, I can't compare anything, just like last time with Jurassic Park that I reviewed, that I can only go with the other Jurassics. So, with this one, all I can go with is the previous Terminator movies. And, of course, it's going to be the original Terminator and a Judgment Day Terminator. Now, the original Terminator movie was, again, like I said before, it was something that we had never seen before. It was done in the early 80s. And, you know, of course, there have been time travel movies. I don't know of a lot, but there have been maybe some. There definitely have been sci-fi movies at that point, and then with the robotics and all the stuff like that. But when they meshed all that stuff up and put it into an action movie, people were losing their minds. This movie was so great. I didn't see it at the theaters, but I did see it when it came out on VHS, which was at the time when it was, and I mean, I loved it. I think that was the first real action movie that I liked, and it had its, you know, moments. But then when it came out, so the first original Terminator came out in 1984, and it starred, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Terminator, Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese, Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, and Paul Winfield as Lieutenant Ed Trexler. Of course, there's no mention of John Connor in this movie. Of course, at the very end, we find out, and okay, if I'm ruining this for you, then I apologize, but really, we find out that Sarah is pregnant by, of course, Kyle, the man that traveled back in time to save her, which it totally was another blowing of the mind. Oh my gosh. So then we go to Terminator 2, Judgment Day, which came out in 1991. So, and this was, again, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then Linda Hamilton, a ripped Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, Edward Furlong as John Connor, who is like a teenager in this movie, and Robert Patrick, who is the T-1000, which is the advanced cyborg made of liquid metal, unlike the original Terminator, who is still just made of regular metal with the human skin on. So in Terminator 2, the Terminator has come back in time to protect the son of Sarah Connor, John Connor. And of course, no one knows this. In the beginning of the movie, we're all expecting it to be the same old bad guy. And, you know, then we find out, oh no, he's a good guy this time, and he's protecting John Connor. And, you know, it's all crazy again. And it's just as much action, if not more. And they decide that this time, instead of just protecting John Connor, that John and his mom and the Terminator are going to join forces and try to destroy the whole system that brought about the rise of the machines in the first place. Now, and you know, and at the end, again, if you haven't seen it, I apologize. At the end of Terminator 2, we're thinking that the machines, everything has been destroyed and it's no longer a problem. And of course, if you go to Terminator 3, you see that it is a problem, and that the Terminator tells, you know, John Connor, when he comes back to see them again, that he did not destroy the system, that he only deferred it, and it's still there. And so then, of course, in Terminator 3, John meets his future wife, and, you know, but I won't get into 3, because, again, they don't really, it's like 3 and 4 never happened when you get to Terminator Genisys, because there's no talk of a wife. There's no talk of the death of John Connor, kind of, sort of, but I won't tell you too much about that. But there is, you know, still talk of Judgment Day that happened in Terminator 2, and what they thought they did, again, but did not do. And it's a really cool movie. All 3 of them are great movies. And 3, I really like 3 as well. I didn't care for 4. 4, if you don't see 4 and you just watch 1, 2, 3, and 5, you're good. Because 4 really does not add anything to the equation at all. Unless you just like Christian Bale, then go right ahead, because he's the star of the 4, and that one was Rise of the Machines. So, those are all my, and again, all of these movies are great for like the whole family to watch. Yeah, there's a brief nudity, and there's a bit of cursing, but it's not a lot, And it's one of those things that, you know, almost a parent could say, cover your ears or cover your eyes on that part. So, yeah, and let, you know, but if again, they're really great movies, and I recommend all three of them. And if you haven't gone out to see Terminator Genisys, do it. I can't wait till it comes out on DVD because I plan on getting it. And, you know, it's just a great movie, and it was great to see, you know, the Terminator back again, and that they didn't try to stray so far from the original Terminator to make it crazy like what happened with Terminator 4 Rising Machines. Because that's what they did with Terminator 4. They tried to take it so far away from the original to try to make it something new, and they ended up making it something crappy, in my opinion. So that's my recommendation for this time. I hope you like it. If you have any movies that you think are better compared to Terminator Genisys, which I doubt very much, but if you do, let me know. And also, if you know, have any comments, let me know at the bottom of the screen. And I'll see you next time.